Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Well, it's December. To be more precise, it's December the 23rd, so Christmas Eve. And I was thinking back to November and Black Friday, and Cyber Monday to an extent as well. Now, if anyone said to you, usually it's a hyped up thing where there's actually nothing good for sale, but actually on this occasion, I'd beg to differ. And anyone who said they didn't find any bargains in the airsoft world on Black Friday, Black Friday even, we're not looking in the right place, because I saw some absolutely amazing deals. Remember guys, if you like the videos, you like the content, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and remember to subscribe. And also press the little bell so you get the notifications when a new video comes up. And stay tuned for more Black Friday goodness. So, Black Friday. I had a look around to see what it was about, and there were some cracking deals. And there was even a E&L AK-74 SU for £170. £170 for an E&L AK-74 SU. Needless to say, I put it in my basket, got called into work, forgot it was in my basket, came to the next morning, and it was back to the normal price. Yeah. So anyway, fortunately Cyber Monday came around, and it got us a chance to get something else. And I was determined to try and find something of an op-4 nature, because literally I'm covered in ARs. There's ARs everywhere. You can't escape the damn things, and NATO guns generally. And you get to a point, it's like, oh God, another AR. So sometimes you need to go a little further afield to find something a bit different. And on this occasion, I was after an AK. And I was looking around to see what was in the Black Friday deals, because that was the criteria. It had to be a Black Friday sale. I didn't want any full-priced AKs, nothing like that. We wanted to see what we could get in this sale. And then I came across this, which looks like an innocuous Cyber style brown box. But we're going to have a look and see exactly what's inside, with help from Peanut. Say hello. So, this looks like a Cyber, this box. And I wouldn't be surprised if it came out of a Cyber factory, but it's not a Cyber. So, I'm not going to say what it is. We have, strangely, two printed A4 instruction manuals, which is bizarre. There you go. And we also have a quality certificate here, showing you the FPS. And it's a little bit hot by the looks of it, but there you go. And finally, underneath here, we have this. Now, yes, it is an AK, because this, we've got a high-cap mag, we've got an unjamming rod down the back. I'm not worried about that, and nothing else. Let's get this out and I'll show you exactly what it is. So what this is a AK-105 AEG, and it's made by Dytac, a company called Dynamic Tactical. Probably made by Cyber, to be honest, under Dytac's name, but it's licensed with a company called SLR. Now, they make real firearms equipment such as rails and stocks and things like that, but on this occasion they've done the Airsoft Works SLR gear to fit this 105, which makes it a little bit more special. Now, the reason I'm showing this particular one is because on Black Friday, these are on sale. I've seen these anywhere between 280 or 290 and about £310 in the UK. I got this for £216. So a massive saving. And we're going to have a look and see if it was worth it or whether it was on sale, because it was junk. Okay guys, so here is the Dytac AK-104, and it's actually pretty light. It is full steel construction, so all the upper and lower receiver is steel. The front rail system, this is aluminium. The flash hider is steel. I'm not sure about the outer barrel, I can't quite get to that to try it. We have a polymer grip, and we have an alloy folding stock, which is pretty chunky. So to fold this, you press down on it, fold it round, it locks into position. It's pretty sturdy, it's not going to go anywhere. So really nice, well made piece of kit that is. Nice externals. It's got the SLR branding on it to show that it is actually branded to the SLR manufacturer, and also the SLR branding on the rail at the front as well. So quite nice little touches. Like I say, this came up as a bit of a bargain. I don't know much about Dynamic Tactical, if I'm honest. They don't have a massive range. They do a few AKs and they do a few M4s, but really that's about it. I have handled one of the M4s before and it was okay, you know, it was an M4. So the front rail was nice on it, to be fair. It was Cerakoted, a nice bronze colour, and it looked reasonably made. The rest of the receiver, I'm not so sure about, but this is pretty solid. There's no creaks, no squeaks. It feels good, feels solid. It's got a nice curved trigger, which is a bit different for an AK, and it's also got a little paddle on the side of the selector to allow you to change your fire modes without taking your hand off the grip. So with a traditional AK, you have to take your finger off and use it with your thumb and your forefinger, whereas this, you can just slot it into place as you need to, which is a nice little touch, a little bit different. Gives that a little bit of a tactical edge. And on the front, we've got this nice, slightly unusual drilled flash hider. I think looks really nice. So, typical sort of AK. To fit a battery, you press down on the back here to lift the receiver off the back. And we've got a Tamiya connector there. Not a big fan of Tamiya connectors, as anyone who watches the channel will know. I tend to use Dean's, but for these occasions, I have got a 7.4 with a Tamiya connection. Now, the way this fits, pretty much like every AK, goes into here. What I tend to do with this one is slot the batteries down into the top tube. Okay, so the battery is in. This isn't the battery you'd use in this gun, to be fair, because it's actually locked this close. I can't actually move the charging handle now because of where it is. But you'd actually use a stick type 7.4 LiPo in the gas tube, which would make it a lot easier than what I've done. So we're currently on full auto, and then we've got semi. So with 7.4 in and full auto, it's actually not a bad sounding gearbox actually. It's a very responsive trigger. I don't believe it's got a MOSFET in. I should probably have a look. It doesn't look like it's got a MOSFET in, but it's a very responsive trigger for just a 7.4 LiPo in there. So that's quite nice, and it feels good. It feels nice. It feels solid. Tiny bit of wobble in the stock, but you'd expect that for a folding stock. Everything else is absolutely solid, and if you shake it, it doesn't make a sound other than like the sights and things like that, you know, where you've got moving parts. So yeah, all in all, quite impressive. Very light as well, so easy, nice to handle in a CQB environment. Obviously it's got nothing on it at the moment. When we load it up with a mag and put some optics on there and maybe a flashlight, then it'll be a little heavier, but for a start it's looking really good. It's nice, it's just a nice size between not too short and not too long, so yeah, it's quite pleasant. We also get a Cyma high cap mag. I'll be honest, it feels really thin, plasticky and horrible. I don't like it at all. I hate high caps anyway, so I'll probably never use it, but yeah, I mean, that's just, it's vile. And when you put it in the actual receiver, it wobbles around all over the place, which I'm not too keen on. But I have got some Cyma mid cap, so we'll have a look, see if they do the same. So this is a Cyma mid cap. Let's try this, see how this fits. And that's pretty solid actually. That's a bit different. Yeah, that feels a lot better actually. So it's not as wobbly as the high cap. So maybe this isn't a Cyma, maybe it's something else, but it's not very nice. The mid caps feel chunkier. Yeah, they're pretty solid, and they're not as not quite as nasty. So that's okay. Now I do believe E&L mags also fit in here, the AK-74 mags, as do the Cyma obviously, and there was another brand who LCT as well apparently. So that's quite nice, and so far I'm liking the look of this gun. It looks quite nice. It's just enough tactical and just enough AK, and I like all the steel parts that bring it all together. So yeah, so far so good. So what we'll do is we'll get this chronoed and see exactly what it's doing. Okay, so we're going to be using 0.2 gram BBs. We've got a Cyma mid cap fitted, and we're going to be using the 7.4 LiPo that I put in it earlier. So let's see what we've got from this. 406, 406, 406, 406, 407, 405, 406, 407, 407, 411, 408. Extremely consistent, but way too hot, way too hot. Let's try it full auto. So we've got a rate of fire of 750 rounds per minute. The one thing I'll say about it, the FPS is ludicrously consistent, which usually means it's got a good air seal, so that's a pretty good start. But it's shooting way over UK sight limits, so we're going to have to do something about that. Okay then guys, so I've given it a bit of a dress up. I've put a flashlight on the front for us and a red dot on the top, just to try and make the gun a little bit more interesting. Oh, and a Mo grip on the front. This unboxing is boring me to death, simply because there's not much to unbox. It's literally an AK in a cardboard box. Now, the problem is with this unboxing is nobody really seems to know much about Dytac or Dynamic Tactical. And the reason for that is they don't have a massive range of AEGs. Now, these aren't necessarily a budget option AK. I've seen them for as much as sort of £320 on the internet. They sort of range between £270 and £320. £270, yeah, £270 and £370. So they're all sort of around that bracket. Now, I got this in the Black Friday sale, but the problem is we know nothing about them. We don't really know what the quality of the AEGs are. I'd say this is a SEMA, 100% all day long. But with a SLR stock forend and flash hider, which I have to say are really, really nice. But is it worth the additional cost? And the only way to find out really is to pull it apart and have a look inside. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take it apart, we're going to have a look inside the gearbox and see if this is worth the money. So I'll get back to you. Okay, so we've stripped this down and had a look inside. And everything inside this gun was pretty unremarkable. So we had a very basic cylinder head. We had a typical Cyma piston and piston head, which is fine. There's no problem with that. All polymer, but they're all perfectly usable. Brass cylinder. We had a plastic nozzle with no O-ring. We had a set of steel gears, which are very standard, and we had a basic but effective motor. Now the motor is not a high torque motor, but it's not a standard motor. I'd say there was a little bit of resistance in it. I'd say it was a reasonably good motor. Certainly not up to the standard of like an SHS high torque, certainly not a Tokyo Marui. And also I've got a Z CI to try inside one of my guns as well, and that too seems pretty strong. So not to the level of those, but a reasonable motor. And so it was a very basic version 3 gearbox. And the thing with this gun is it's got a couple of nice little touches. So I like the fact this adjuster on here, this screw for the fire select is adjustable, so you can tighten it and loosen it. Like some of the old ones you couldn't, you actually just pop the top off here and there's a screw underneath. I love the SLR branded rail at the front. I like the SLR branded flash hider and the SLR branded stock. I think they're all really nice touches, and you've got this nice little curved trigger as well. The trigger response is pretty decent for a standard AEG with no MOSFET. So all in all, it's actually quite a decent build. But the internals aren't good enough for the price of £320. I've seen these sat between £250 and £320. I got this on Black Friday for £220. And even at that price, there are guns cheaper with the same internals. So it sort of shouts to me that this is made in the Cyma factory for Dytac with their licensed parts on. And there's no doubt about it, these licensed parts are solid and they're really, really good quality. So SLR Airsoft Works, as they're known now, which were part of the SLR Rifle Works in Florida, they have made a great job, or at least they've put their name to somebody who's made a great job of these stocks and foregrips and the front ends. And if they sell them separately, I'd highly recommend getting them and putting them on your AEGs. If that's what's important to you, then I think the price is worth it. If you just want a tactical looking AK, then there may be other options that you'd want to go for. And it sounds like I'm sort of not liking this gun or not liking Dytac for what they've done, and that's not the case. I actually really like this AEG. I think it's great and it does fire well for the money. What I did have to do though is when I took it apart, I put a flat hop in it, because when I tried it as standard, it was just a standard AEG throwing BBs down range, and it was roughly around a 4-inch grouping, so nothing particularly special. That's at 20 meters with .25s. I put the flat hop in and it brought it straight down to just around a 3-inch grouping. There were a couple of flyers. Put some .28s in. I think it'll make them much better. Again, I didn't have any 2.8s with me on order at the moment, but so yeah, I think you can get a lot out of this gun. One thing is the air seal is excellent on it, which is bizarre because there's really nothing fancy inside there, but it works. So if it works, it works. And I've not done anything to the gearbox other than lube it, make sure the shimming is correct, which it was pretty good anyway, and that's pretty much it. Grease it and lube it up. Oh, and I polished the rails. The one thing I'll say about this gun, out the box, the gearbox has got a ton of grease in it, but it's all on the gearbox shell. There's absolutely nothing on the gears itself, and there is no lubrication on the piston rails, which is disappointing because that's where all the movement is. So I've polished those, radiused the sharp edges, and put some lube in there, and it seems to run really nicely. Now, I'm going to be running this on a 7.4 LiPo, hopefully a 25C, I'll try and get in there. And I'm actually pretty happy with the way it is, but is it value for money? And that's what it comes down to on a lot of these unboxings. At £320, that's up to you as to whether you value the SLR branding. If you do, then only you can answer that. If you're just after a tactical looking AK for as little as you can that performs, God no way is it worth that money, because there's lots of things out there that can do the same, if not better, for less money, and that may be the case. I mean, you look at how many M4s are on the market these days. that have good internals or at least acceptable internals and perform well for less than £150, and you have to look at that, or at least less than £200. And then you look at something like this, which is sat at 320, and the internals aren't as good as those, and you think, what are you paying for? Are you paying for the furniture and the build? It is steel, the receiver's steel, the front end's aluminium, and steel trigger guard, steel receiver top and bottom. It's a good build, nice polymer grip, it's no wobbles, no rattles. It's actually a really solid gun. So if you're buying this for the branding because you want the SLR shape, and I'll tell you now that it's nicer than most tactical AKs to hold because it feels solid, it feels quite small on the front as well. You haven't got that great big bulky rail system on the front. Then in that case, it's worth every penny, and there are some nice parts to this gun. But bear in mind, you're not buying a premium gearbox. You're buying an outer shell with the potential to upgrade the inside. It's not a bad gearbox, but it's not the best gearbox. It's ready to be upgraded. And at that, it's quite an expensive gun in the fact that you're going to have to upgrade it. But it sounds like I don't like it, and that is not the case. I actually love it. I think it's a really nice gun. I'm looking forward to using it more. And I will probably, as usual, start upgrading it. Maybe a tight bore, new piston cylinder and head maybe. We'll see. I'm quite fancy trying a TNT tight bore with one of their hops, so I may be putting one of those in here just to try it out, because it has got the potential to be quite a good gun, I think. It just needs a bit of time and effort putting into it. If you don't want to put time and effort into it and strip it down and start messing with it, perhaps look elsewhere. Dynamic Tactical have been around since 2007, and they're a small company that are growing, and they're basically getting people like Simon to make their guns for them. That doesn't mean you should avoid them. It doesn't mean they're a bad company, in my opinion. I think they're doing something a little bit different with this gun, and you know, good on them. I think well done, Dytac, for actually doing something a little bit different, and going out there, getting the licenses from SLR and doing something interesting with it. And on that part of it, I think they're doing a great job. Keep it up. Just watch your pricing. I think if we had an even better gearbox in there, perhaps with an inbuilt MOSFET, then you'd be on another level again, and it would bring it up to where you want it. And even a few accessories. Obviously, I've got a flashlight that's falling off for some reason. With a flashlight, you know, fixed on there, it looks great. If it came with a foregrip, even better. So, is this gun worth it? Depends how much you pay for it. If you're paying the mid 250s, then yeah, I think it's got a place. I think it's less for the new player. It's more for a more experienced player who's happy to upgrade, simply because you can get much better out of it if you do that. If you're going for a standard AK, there are cheaper ones out there that you'll get the same performance and still be able to upgrade it. So for the price you'll pay for this, you'll probably buy a cheaper one and put a few upgrades in. So just bear that in mind. If you're going out and buying a SEMA for £150, one of their AKs, then you're essentially buying the same internals as this with a different outside. If the outside doesn't bother you so much, stick a tight bore, hop, and maybe a few upgrades in the gearbox or MOSFET, something like that, and away you go. You're going to have yourself a better gun from the off. If money's less of an issue and you just want the tactical look, something a little bit different, then it's worth it all the way. If that's not a problem, just do it, and you're going to upgrade it anyway, then it's a perfectly good gun. Just be aware, you've got to watch that spring. So with that said, this was the unboxing and overview of the Dytac AK105, and all in all, I actually really like this gun. It's going to stay in my collection. I'm going to take it out and do some skirmishes with it because I think it's a great basis for a new OP4 loadout. So that's it. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. Remember, if you like the content, give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment below if you've got any questions. We've got lots more things, lots more unboxings coming up soon. As I look over there, I can see them stacked up. And this is the place for an impartial, unbiased, bought with my own money review of whatever I decide to get in. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.